What's up, guys? Welcome back. It is me, Michael, your host here at the Cyber Union. It's been a while since you've seen my face, but I've been putting out some awesome videos on Hack the Box challenges. Well, not challenges, the different machines, the retired machines there. So if you haven't already, check those out and get some knowledge from Hack the Box. Great environment to practice for the OSCP, which is what we're going to talk about today. But before we get in there, if you're enjoying these videos, make sure you're liking. I base the videos I create on your feedback. Also, if you've watched a few of them and you're enjoying them, go ahead and subscribe. Stay up to date with our latest content as we release, which is typically on a weekly basis. And also, make sure if you are enjoying this, other people that you know would probably enjoy it as well, that are on the same journey as you. So make sure you're sharing it with them. Hopefully they can get something out of it and get on that path to passing the OSCP certification. All right, so this video, we're going to be talking about the changes that have taken place in the last 2 years in the OSCP Labs and the OSCP Exam. So all of that is going to be coming up right now. All right, let's get into things. So if you have taken the exam in the past, say the last 3 years, and you're coming back now, getting interested in it again, giving it a round 2 or 3, you're probably going to notice realize that there have been some changes. And like I said in the intro, there have been changes in the way you're going to take the exam and what you're going to see in the labs and the lab guide. So we're going to talk about all of that today. So let's get started with the first thing. The first thing you'll notice that when you pass the exam, you're now going to have a badge from Acclaim. So they made this change because before it was kind of a burdensome process where if you were going for a job at a company and they want to validate your certification, they had to reach out to offensive security and say, hey, I want to make sure this guy's certification is real. They would reach out to you for privacy's sake to say, hey, do you want us to release this information? When you say yeah, then they go back to the employer and provide, yeah, they have that. So obviously that's pretty cumbersome. So now, like many of the other certification companies like CompTIA and CEH, they work with Acclaim so that they can just go in there and validate it quickly, so that turnaround on your job is much faster. Another issue that this solves as well is the misrepresentation. So there were some people that were saying they had the OSCP when in fact they didn't. So this is going to fight that issue as well. All right, next thing, Proctored. So when you're taking the exam, they are now proctored. Weird, right? But it's not that creepy where you go in and take a written exam and someone's just watching you the whole time. It's a little more creepier than that, actually. There's a guy watching you with a camera, so you have to have a camera when you take it now, and he's watching your screen. So this is to fight a big issue they had where there were a lot of people using people to take the exam for them. So unlike some of the written exams you may have taken in the past, there's not someone there watching you and checking your ID to ensure that it's you taking the exam. They kind of go off of the Scout's honor system. So they wanted to make a change to ensure that their exam and that the certification remains valued by employers by ensuring that people are really taking the test and getting the certification. It's going to be a little weird, but there's no sound. They pointed that out in a blog they released about. There's no sound, so they can't hear you, but they are watching you, and you can turn it off when you're not actively in the environment, and they are watching your screen to ensure you're not screen sharing or whatever with other people. So look forward for that the next time you take your exam if you've taken it in the past. A little bit different. One other thing I do want to talk about on this is if you want to see the whole history of this kind of combat going on about the offensive security letting people kind of cheat and misrepresent themselves. There's a gentleman called CyberSick on Twitter who just kind of stood up for the fact that this was happening almost openly all over the world, and he was kind of tired of it. So to combat it, he was like, if you don't fix this issue, I'm going to start releasing the guide to the exam boxes to force you to redo them. So it's actually really interesting. I put the link below so you could follow that story if you wanted to. CyberSec was standing up for what he believed in, and in fact, they have made some significant changes since. So good on you for making the exam and certification more valuable. Thanks, CyberSec. All right, so let's actually get into the new content. So lots of new content, lots of it. We're gonna go hit kind of the highlights here. One thing I do notice that is in the list of new content is PowerShell. So they didn't touch that at all that I can remember when I went through, and it's actually really valuable in the real world. Everyone uses Windows just about, and Windows all has PowerShell on it. So it's a valuable tool. Well, now they're integrating some labs and part of and walkthroughs in their lab guide to get into PowerShell. And they have some labs built around the use of PowerShell as well. So enjoy that. It is definitely applicable to the real world. So there's great new content coming out in terms of that. Another area they're going to cover, they say they're digging into buffer overflows a little bit more. So before, they just kind of walked you through the process of a very, very basic buffer overflow. But now they're going to get into the theory of why it works, how it works, a little bit more in depth, so you come away with a more thorough understanding. So this is awesome for you guys as well. Another piece they're getting into is OSINT. So just FYI, when I took my exam, there was no OSINT. I mean, there's really no way to integrate that into the exam environment. You're hacking, doing a technical hack, you don't need to discover OSINT information about the company you're targeting. Well, they're integrating that here. So not helpful for passing your exam, but real life, this is going to be absolutely helpful. So if you're in an engagement that's an external pen test, you need an OSINT. Hands down, you need to dig in and dig up information on the company you're attacking, because there's going to be a lot of stuff out there that's going to help you, whether there's a GitHub repository with code for the company, email addresses that have been dumped that you can use to get into someone's email account and do password guessing on. This stuff is going to help. It's going to help you get in. So learn the OSINT stuff, but realize it's not probably going to help you on the exam. Another thing that is a big one for them is that they've integrated Active Directory boxes for the OSCP. This is brand new. They didn't do any of it. One of the videos I'm a cover for Hack the Box is going to cover Active Directory hacks. Well, some of them anyways. But this is awesome. This is a game changer for the OSCP. Big part of you doing pen testing in the real world, so glad they integrated it. They actually have dedicated lab machines, rather, specifically for you, so that you can learn it without having to worry about somebody resetting the box. So now they're actually going to give you 3 dedicated machines, whereas before I think they only gave you 1, and that was practice buffer overflow on. Now they're giving you 3. One's going to include Active Directory, so that's a big win for those going into the OSCP labs. Big win. You're going to enjoy that content. So here's just a list of stuff. I'm reading off my notes here. A couple of other things they've added. They were kind of already in there, but they're maybe hitting on some facets that they didn't hit on before. With privilege escalation, they said they're going to get into that more. For that, I'm glad they are. I spent a whole month solely on privilege escalation techniques, so I'm glad they're getting more into there. That was probably the hardest part of my exam. I mean, really, that's the hardest part of any pen test, is getting that admin level access. So glad they're staying on that topic a little heavier. We've got client-side attacks here. So we have HTA attacks, word macros, object linking, and DDE. So this is cool. We didn't do any of that in the labs before that I can remember. Maybe there were some boxes, not to my knowledge. Especially word macros are going to be absolutely necessary if you do any phishing campaigns. You're probably going to be doing some word attachments with embedded macros. If you're doing reverse engineering, that's a big one out there for phishing campaigns, URE, word macros. So great information for that. Web app attacks, that's super heavy. They did a lot of that, so hopefully they're digging into some more areas in web app, because they're a lot of fun, and every environment's going to have some sort of web application in there, so you need that knowledge. So I'm glad they're hitting that up more and delivering more content there. Port redirection and tunneling, another big win for you guys. When you're pivoting through networks, trying to get to the goods that you need to get to, maybe that database that has all that customer information, you're probably going to have to do some sort of tunneling. Create some port forwarding or proxy chains, something like that to get into where you need to go. So this is amazing that they're spending more time on it. They did before, because you're going to use it, I promise. And finally, the last thing that I see, not that great of a win, is Metasploit. You can only use it once on the exam, so I wouldn't spend a lot of time learning that content. Sure, you're going to use it in the real life. On the exam, you're not going to use it that much, but it's always good to understand the tools in your toolbox. Metasploit is definitely going to be one of them, but just realize that you should not rely on it for the exam because you only get one shot. One shot, that's it, then you're done with it. Otherwise, you fail. So don't rely on it. Learn to run your exploits by themselves. All right, guys, that's it for me today. As always, I enjoy delivering this content for you guys, so let me know how you liked it. If you're getting ready to get in the labs and start your OSCP journey, good luck. You can do it. Dedicate some time to it. Keep hard at it. Try harder, and I'm sure you'll come away with that coveted OSCP certification. We'll see you next time here at the Cyber Union. Bye.